everyone, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. This is a quick fun tutorial on how to make a accordion style photo box for 4x6 photos. This is a design team project for Country Craft Creations. This is the prototype. This is the one I'll show you in the tutorial that's coming up next. To create the little 4x6 photo accordion file folder box, I guess you would call that. This is my prototype one. So it has the little dividers in here. It's got the accordion sides, and you can close it shut like a little box, and it sits up, so it will hold your some 4x6 photos in here from a trip or a birthday party occasion, whatever you need to put in there until you put it in an album, or you might decide to just keep them in the little box, or also the extra photos. So it's kind of a neat way to store your photos. So you need your cardstock. I know I used one sheet of the 12x12 cardstock plus the scraps because I had a lot of scraps left over from a recent album project. So check your scraps. I'm using the natural artisan cardstock. So your main piece from the big 12x12, it needs to be 12x12 long, and it's going to be 6.5 by 12. And then for your top piece that comes over here, you need one that is 6.5. Just measure it to double check. 6.5 by 3.5. So that makes the box part. For the accordions, one on each side, you need two that are 4.5 by 5. So two of those. And then for the dividers on the inside, I cut these at 6.5 by 4. So you have two of those. So we'll set these aside. I've also cut my pattern paper, and I will give you those measurements in a bit after we get this scored and everything, and a little bit of it put together. We're going to put the pattern paper on before it's completely created. So let's set these aside just a little bit. Get my scoreboard that needs cleaned. Okay, so let's take our 12-inch piece first. So this one is your 6.5 by 12, and you're going to put the 12-inch at the top, and you're going to score at 4.5, 6, and 10.5. Now this is going to make the outside shell of our box, okay? Then the two 4.5 by 5, so these are the 4.5 by 5, we're going to score on your 5-inch side on each one. You're going to score at 1 inch, then 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and stop at 4. Score at 4. So you end up with 1 inch on each end. See if you can see that. Have 1 inch here on each end like that, and then the 1/2 inch in between. So we end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1/2 inch spaces in between. So we'll do this one the same way. You put your 5-inch at the top, and we're going to score at 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and 4. Okay, so that's what we have. So you see here when I fold it back, I have my 1 inch on each side. This is the attachment, and then we have the little 1/2 inch. This makes the accordion. On our last piece, which is our 6.5 by 3.5, we're going to turn it so that the 3.5 is at the top and score at 2 inches. Then take your 1/2 inch corner rounder, and on the widest section, opposite of the score line, but you want your 2-inch section here, this is your flap, 1/2 inch corner round. So that when this folds, this is the top and this is the flap, just like that, okay? So we got that, and that should be all the scoring we need. So we'll move this out of the way. Let's take our main piece, this one here that we did, this 12 by 6.5, and let's go ahead and fold up our score lines and burnish. This forms the box, the outer part of our box. So like this and this. Now, this is the bottom, and this is the top, but we got to make the flap. So what we're doing is we're going to attach this piece here right on top of the other top part to give it a little extra thickness here, and then that flap will come on down. It's just made it easy. We won't have a seam. By doing that, we don't have a seam. On my other one, I had a seam. You can't really see it, and it worked out just fine. But for this one, I decided I would cut this wider here on the top. So you put your glue on the part that is not the rounded one. So this is this narrow part. So put glue on all of that right along the edge here. Then take your base piece and match these two sizes up. This one goes on top just like this. So make sure that the edge of this is lined up to the fold. So that this comes over, and I burnish it down and get it as straight as you can. Okay, if you see a little bit over that you don't like, maybe just take your big scissors and turn it on the inside where you can see it, and just trim a little tiny bit if you need to. So I probably got mine off just a little bit, and my little 1/2 inch needs to be cleaned up a little bit if I can. Okay, there we go. So there's the shell with this piece here. Now then, your accordions. Just go ahead and fold and burnish your lines. And you're going to do this in an accordion fashion. So I just do it back and forth, and then I'll look at it, and if I need to flip them around, I will. So just one back and forth, just like that. Okay, so this is one. So we're going to look at it, and you want these 1 inch pieces folding out the same way. So there we go. And I really burnish all of that together. So here I have it looking like this, like two W's. So you've got the wings going back, and you've got these going back as well. So that is your accordion. So you do this one the same way. I just fold it back, forth on itself in an accordion motion. You can burnish each one if you want to, or you can wait and do them all at once. I don't think it really matters. So here we go. This one. Fold this one. So both of those 1 inch wings will go the same way. Fold that up so you can see all that thickness there, and you just burnish all that. So when we hold them up, they have the wings. And if I need to reverse them when I go to put it in, I will. But these are your accordions. So now we're ready for our pattern to paper, because it's easier to do without putting our accordions on. So you need 4 outside, inside of the main section. So you need 4 that are 6 3/8 wide by 4 3/8 tall. And I think I'm going to use the bunny rabbit here on my front. Just try fitting it. See, pay attention so that you know the direction of your paper. You don't want to put it like that upside down. So I've got my bunnies going the correct way. So that's the front. I'm going to go ahead and put my glue on. So I made these out of the scraps left from my last design team project using bunnies and Blooms by Photoplay from Country Craft Creation. So this is making a little Easter, spring Easter photo folder. So just line these up and burnish that down. So there's the front. So if you stand this up, this is what it's going to look like that. So this one is your back one. So fold it up so that you can see it. You know this is going to go right here like that. So this one's upside down now. That's because it folds up. And that's okay. It's what we want. So put your glue on. Okay. And attach it on this one. Let me move it into me a little closer so I can see just a tad better. Okay. And burnish that one on. So now we have our front like that and our back like that. So now we're going to do the inside. So I'm using the yellow print, and it really doesn't matter on this because the directions, you know, either way will work fine on this print. So I'm going to put this one on the inside right here. Of course, yours is going to be different, whatever patterns you have left or whatever theme you're working on. So this is a great way to use up scraps and make an accompanying a piece. I can't say that word. To go with any album or folio you've made. So it's really would be a really nice gift or for yourself. So go ahead and burnish that one on the inside. And then this one. Go ahead and line it up. So that's going to be the inside back section like that when you peek down in there. Now we want to do that's our flaps. We'll wait on that one. Our little inside and outside pieces. So we have 4, and I was really running low on scraps here. And I wanted the carrot one on the top. I just love the carrots. So cut these. So you need 4 for the top and bottom that are 6 3/8 wide by 1 3/8 tall. If you want to ink them, you know, you would go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to put the glue on this one. I want the carrots on the top for me. It's the only piece I had that was the right direction. That was long enough. I couldn't get 2 out of my piece that I had left. So I'm just going to, the wording is a little bit sideways, and I'm okay with that. Can't really tell it's so light. So but that's, I wanted my carrots. Carrots on the top. Then we're going to put one on the inside. Now I have these plaids, so I'm going to go ahead and put all of them on the inside. This is so quick and easy to make. I think you'll be amazed at how easy it goes once you've made 1 or 2 of them. So this one goes here. So this is all just like a folder that we're making. One here. Really fun, quick Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon project. And for those of you who participate in the Zoom, I never can make it to the Zoom, Friday night Zooms with Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations because we usually always go somewhere on Friday night. So I'm never back in time. By the time I come back, I'm kind of tired and I haven't planned anything to work on. I guess I could just come on and chat. I just have to, I tend to forget once I have come back home, to be truthful, but one of these days I will join in. So we get this one on. This is going to be the bottom piece. Okay, so there's the inside. That's the outside. When it folds up, everything is done on the inside and the outside except for our flaps. So now we're going to do that. So this is going to be the front one. And I'm going to use the plaids again. So you need two pieces that are 6 3/8 wide by 1 7/8 tall. Almost forgot. Gave you the wrong size. Two bottom corners. You need 2 1/2-inch corner round. It's going to go on just like that. Okay. Now then, on this next one, because we're going to be using eyelets, if you don't like how your eyelets punch on the inside and you want to cover that, don't put this one on yet. Close your head. We're going to go here and here. Okay. And so if you don't want the backing, if you have trouble crimping them down and you want to cover them up, you would use this piece. So let's go ahead and corner around 2 of these. And we have it ready to go over our eyelets. So that's what we're going to do next. So to make these string closures, use your 1-inch circle punch. I've already punched mine. Punch out 4 in your cardstock and 2 in your pattern. And let's see here. I'm going to use, I think, this one here, like that. And then, maybe it's this one. Use that one at the top and this one, the plaid, on the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and glue these together. So glue 2 cardstock ones together. Make sure you get them all nice and even. I just like the extra thickness to make them a little sturdy because you're going to be wrapping string around them. Then take your pattern, circle, and glue that on. Like that. And then if you're going to ink it, go ahead and ink those. This one glues like this. That one even. There we go. Okay. Now then, because we're going to be wrapping string around it, this is a neat trick that I learned somewhere. Take a scrap of your pattern paper. It doesn't matter which one. It's about 2 inches by 1/2 inch. And then I'm just going to put glue on the one end a little bit and fold it over. That's 2 layers. Glue this, fold it over. That gives me a 3rd layer of paper. And glue. And one more. That gives me 4 layers thicknesses of paper. Have a little extra sticking out. I'm just going to cut that off. And if I want to, I square that up just a little bit. So now I have 2 of these. On the back center, just glue one of these on the back center of your circle, right there. Okay, this is the back side on the cardstock side. Okay, we're going to let that glue for just a second before we do any hole punching. So we've got them on there. That's our little bit of lift. And we'll just wait for a few minutes. Okay, so we're ready to put our little string closures on. I have 2 silver eyelets here. And these are going to go, when you close up your box like this, you're going to have one here and one here. So this is 6 1/2. So at 3 1/4, about where I want to put my first circle, I'm going to put a mark like that. Let's see, I think that's going to work right there. That's a good place. So holding this together, Put your ruler there so you can see that it's straight down here and you've got it here. Then you're going to decide, probably about here at this 2-inch mark, I'm going to put a circle. Now you will see that your regular punch is not going to reach that far. So I have a big bite for that. If you don't have that, you're going to have to try to get an awl or something that you can, poke your hole through. So let me get my big hole set up. And you really can't see this on the camera, but just double check to make sure I'm hitting where that mark is pretty close. And I'm going to see if I can lay this in here. This is really difficult. I'm going to do these off. Never mind. I'm just going to do my holes here. There's the one. And this one you can do with a shorter crocodile if you wanted to. Since I have this one here, I'm going to go ahead and punch it. So now I have the 2 holes like that. Whoops, there you are. Okay. Now then, these guys. I'm going to take my smaller one here, my smaller punch. I'm going to use the big one here. So I'm just going to line this up in the center, and it's going to punch right through all thicknesses. See that little square there? Looks like a little washer thing there on there now. So again, with your big hole, line it up. I'm just eyeballing it. Do the best you can. There we go. Throw all this in the trash. Now we're ready to put these guys on. So this first one's going to be, I'll do it with the small one so you can see the small one. So you drop it through your eyelet. Just drop right on through all the thicknesses. Just push it in. Make sure it goes in flush. It's quite a bit of thickness in there, but I think it's going to work okay. And then I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue on that square on the corners, just a little bit. I want to make sure that's secure because this is shorter eyelet shank going in. Poke that through that hole. Make sure it pushes in really good. Enough of that metal coming through. And then I'm going to look at my design and turn my circle. So my lettering, because this one does have lettering. Now really press on that. Get that pressed in so you can see your metal. Then you're going to take your eyelet setter, and the prongy one's going to go through the finished side one. Make sure you line it up and hold it down straight and really press. Okay, so it got it. I'm going to do it twice just to make sure. Okay, so there it is. It's all stuck in there really good. Got a little bit of lift for everything, so that's good. Now, this is where I was saying, if you didn't want to see your metal underneath here, if yours is a little rough or something, you can certainly cover it up now, and it doesn't matter that that hole in there is covered. It's really not noticeable that much, and it just covers that eyelet for you. Mine went in pretty good and has pretty smooth, so no one's fingers would get roughed up on it. But to be on the safe side, you can go ahead and cover that with pattern paper now on the inside. Finish that up. And if you didn't want the string closures on your box, you could certainly use magnets. You would just need to put those on before doing any of that. Now then, we're ready for this one with the big guy. And you would have to have this big bite to get that through. So push that through. Get that flush on the outside. Again, I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue, not a whole lot. kind of just secure that up against the cardboard. This one doesn't matter about the direction of the plaid, I don't think. Just gonna make sure I've got it coming through. Pressing it down on the outside here around that eyelet to make sure the metal is sticking up enough to crimp it. Now I've got to reset this. Yep, there he is. I couldn't see my little thing here. I'm lining it up. And push it down. Got it. So that one is on. And so there's that. So now all we need is our string. So I'm going to use the natural jute string here. And I like to tie it around this one here on the top. Just a couple of knots. Just pull it tight and then go ahead and tie another knot. Pull it real tight in there. And if you feel more comfortable, you can do a second one. Let's do that to make sure. Okay, so that should be secure. Now we cut this one off short, so it's up underneath. And then when this one comes over it, whoop, I will trim some of this off. So you line it up, and you just crisscross around however many times you want. I think that's good. I'm going to tie a knot in this last one here. Let it hang down. If you had a little charm you wanted to hang on it, well, you could. That'd be cute. And tie a couple of knots. There we go. And just trim that off. And there we go. There is your string closure tie. And now we're ready for the accordion part of our little book box. So undo all this and open it up. Okay, so let's grab these and take a good look. So this is going to go like this. And like I said, I'm going to bring it in. And since I have my pattern paper on here at about 1/16 of an inch, I think that's where I'm going to line that up. And so this is 4 inches high. And you want to put glue on this 1-inch piece here. Okay. This is going to go towards the center. So you line up the fold right along the pattern paper. Top to bottom, it's going to fit just exactly. So we're about 1/16 of an inch in from the edge. See that right there? We've got that clearance right there. We're going to burnish that down. So when that folds up, it's going to be like that. Okay, so on the other side, we're going to put our glue on this 1-inch piece. Too much glue right there. Let me spread that out. Okay. And again, the fold, it's going to go right along that paper line, the pattern paper. Line it up top to bottom. Press it down so you can kind of see you're getting it straight. If your pattern paper is not straight, you're going to want to make sure that you're doing it straight. So there we go. Burnish that down. Now all we need to do is attach it to this other side, like right in there. And this is going to be a little trickier, so you're going to have to bring it up. And I'll do one side at a time. So I'm going to open this back. Let's get our glue here. just on that 1-inch piece. Clean my glue off just a second. Had too much there, so I need to grab a paper towel. Now then, watch your string, don't get it glued. Bring this over so that you can line this up, and you want to keep it about a 1/16 of an inch from the edge. Just look in there, see how well you're doing. Press that down. Then you reach in here and burnish. Okay, so that looks better. Now then, this one, pull this out so you can see it. Put your glue on. Bring it in. This is a little trickier. Bring it in. Grab one of these other spine thingies. And I just look in here and line it up. It kind of falls in place. Then I reach in here and I burnish. Now, yes, it is. I didn't think about that. They are underneath our pattern paper. But you know what? That's okay. I'm okay with that. The other one, I put my paper in afterwards. If you have enough paper and you want to repattern that, well, you certainly can. So I apologize for that. See that in there? You can see the white. But I'm okay. If you have enough and you can pattern those, you can. So now let's do our dividers. So we have the pattern paper for this. Now we're going to need to check this to see if we're trimming them down, because I'm pretty sure. No, I don't think we have to. I think I already have them the right width. Okay, so the pattern paper for these are, what did I tell you, 6 1/4 wide by 3 7/8 tall. So I just glue them on the front side. If you have enough pattern paper, again, I don't, you can add pattern paper to the back sides as well if you want to. So I'm just going to get this on here. Garnish that in. So these are our two little dividers. And honestly, I think that you could use it without a divider if you wanted to. It's just what you prefer to do. This is too far over here. There we go. Get that on there even. Okay. So now in here, you put these dividers. So like I put this one between the spine of the first and second one there, like that. And then this one on this one back here. So it gives us 4 sections in there. And you can take a little bit of glue if you want and glue those in, or you can just leave them loose like that. And when you close this up, you just wrap your string around however you want. And there it is. That's your photo box. I think sliding that in a little bit made it a little bit better here on the side. So I like that. I don't have a whole lot of decorating stuff to put on mine. I have no stickers left. I had a couple of cut aparts, but they're really too big. I mean, I could put them on the back if I wanted to, but I think I'm going to just keep those. I have a few small scraps that I could use for something else. Maybe some flowers. So I'm going to see flowers and buttons, maybe a bow, or you can just leave it plain. So I'll show you in just a second what I did. Oh, I'm going to show you. I don't have any photos here with me, but this is a 4x6, and it should fit in perfect with your photos. And I think I'm going to see about getting some scraps of paper and patterning those edges in there. So yeah, those two front and back on the inside, don't put them on until you add your accordions. I think you'll like it a lot better. I'll make a note on the video to tell you to wait. So I'll be back in just a bit and show you the finished boxes. Okay, so I kept it really simple. I had some Tim Holtz wallflower scraps stuff on here on my, hanging up on my walls. So I just grabbed some of them here, kind of give it a little pop there on the top, and then I put a bigger one on the back, keeping it real simple that way. I like that a lot. So that's for Easter photos. So there's that one, and of course here's the prototype one where you see it kind of sticks out a little bit, but I fixed that on this other one. This was the Disney Say Cheese at the Park design team package scraps that I had left over from I think last month. So this is the wrap on using up the scraps for my design team package this time. This is the Photoplay Bunnies and Blooms, and we made these cute little photo boxes with these string closures. So I hope you've enjoyed that and have time to make you a couple of these within the next few days for your photos, and anytime you have scraps left over from making an album or folio. I think you'll enjoy that. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel by clicking down below underneath where it says subscribe, or if there's still a little heart down here in this corner somewhere, you can click on that and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure and click the bell when you do. That way you'll get notifications when I have a new tutorial video up. And as always, check out countrycraftcreations.com for your paper crafting supplies. I use these paper collections from the store and the natural artisan cardstock. And so it's just a lot of fun. And also the jute string, you can get that. And of course your fabulous art glitter glue that is shipping now because it's finally gotten warm enough, everybody. So have a great weekend. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.